So today we started second chapter. So we'll take few shlokas from. We have few hundred shlokas to learn, and that is very. They're quite easy once we learn first few chapters. Remaining shlokas becomes easy for us. So it should not be a problem. So this is the shloka we learned today, and because it's a simple shloka, I will just read the two lines, and you can repeat after me. And some shlokas are quite simple, which you have heard many times. Some of you already know, so I'll not take much of it. So this is the source of Jnana and Vairagya. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitah.
Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga.
Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitah. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitah. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitah.
Janayatyasu Vairagyam Jnanam cha yadahaitukam.
Janayati Asu Vairagyam Jnanam cha yadahaitukam. Janayati Asu Vairagyam Jnanam cha yadahaitukam. Janayati Asu Vairagyam Jnanam cha yadahaitukam.
Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitah. Janayatyasu Vairagyam Jnanam cha yadahaitukam.
Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitah.
Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitah. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitah. Janayati Asu Vairagyam Jnanam cha yadahaitukam. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitah. Janayati Asu Vairagyam Jnanam cha yadahaitukam.
So this shloka is very simple and easy to understand. When you render devotional service, automatically, immediately we can acquire causeless knowledge and detachment. These two things are. Or another thing is by detachment, and this is also part of means you'll immediately get that for these things. And now we are doing these shlokas, so 3-4 shlokas are very important. Dharma swanishtita pumsam vishvaksena katasuyah.
Dharma swanushtita pumsam vishwaskena katasuyah. Dharma swanushtita pumsam vishwaskena katasuyah. Dharma swanushtita pumsam vishwaskena katasuyah.
Notpade dediratim shramayeva hi kevalam.
Na utpadayat yadiratim sama eva hi kevalam. Na utpadayat yadiratim sama eva hi kevalam. Na utpadayat yadiratim sama eva hi kevalam.
Dharma swanishtita pumsam vishvaksena katasuya notpade dediratim shramayeva hi kevalam.
Dharma swanushtita pumsam vishwaskena kathasuyah notpadayat yadiratim sama eva hi kevalam. Dharma swanushtita pumsam vishwaskena kathasuyah notpadayat yadiratim sama eva hi kevalam. Dharma swanushtita pumsam vishwaskena kathasuyah notpadayat yadiratim sama eva hi kevalam.
This is also very easy to remember. Whatever dharma, the occupational duties should be done in such a way that one should get attraction to the message of, develop an attraction to the message of personality of God. वदन्ति तत्तत्त्वविदस्तत्त्वं यज्ञानमद्वयम्
वदन्ति तत्तत्त्वविदस्तत्त्वं यज्ञानमद्वयम् वदन्ति तत्तत्त्वविदस्तत्त्वं यज्ञानमद्वयम् वदन्ति तत्तत्त्वविदस्तत्त्वं यज्ञानमद्वयम्
ब्रह्मेति परमात्मेति भगवानिति शब्दते
ब्रह्मेति भगवानिति परमात्मेति ब्रह्मेति परमात्मेति भगवानिति शब्दते ब्रह्मेति परमात्मेति भगवानिति शब्दते
तत्तत्त्वविदस्तत्त्वं यज्ञानमद्वयम् ब्रह्मेति परमात्मेति भगवानिति शब्दते
वदन्ति तत्तत्त्वविदस्तत्त्वं यज्ञानमद्वयं ब्रह्मेति परमात्मेति भगवानिति शब्दते वदन्ति तत्तत्त्वविदस्तत्त्वं यज्ञानमद्वयं ब्रह्मेति परमात्मेति भगवानिति शब्दते वदन्ति तत्तत्त्वविदस्तत्त्वं यज्ञानमद्वयं ब्रह्मेति परमात्मेति भगवानिति शब्दते.
So this is also easy. Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan features are the features of the Tattva. The Tattva is not divided. Now, this sloka will do one line. Tachraddadana yamunayo.
तच्छ्रद्धदानमुनयो
ज्ञानवैराग्ययुक्तया तच्छ्रद्धदानया मुनयो ज्ञानवैराग्ययुक्तया
तच्छ्रद्धदानमुनयो ज्ञानवैराग्ययुक्तया तच्छ्रद्धदानमुनयो
पश्यन्ति आत्मनि चात्मानां भक्त्या श्रुतगृहीतया पश्यन्ति आत्मनि चात्मानां भक्त्या श्रुतगृहीतया
पश्यन्ति आत्मनि चात्मानां भक्त्या श्रुतगृहीतया पश्यन्ति आत्मानि चात्मानः भक्त्या श्रुतगृहीतया पश्यन्ति आत्मानि चात्मानः भक्त्या श्रुतगृहीतया
तच्छ्रद्धदानया मुनयो ज्ञानवैराग्ययुक्तया पश्यन्त्यात्मनि चात्मानां भक्त्या श्रुतगृहीतया
तच्छ्रद्धदानमुनयो ज्ञानवैराग्ययुक्तया पश्यन्ति आत्मनि चात्मानं भक्त्या श्रुतगृहीतया तच्छ्रद्धदानमुनयो ज्ञानवैराग्ययुक्तया पश्यन्ति आत्मनि चात्मानं भक्त्या श्रुतगृहीतया.
Yeah, so this verse is telling the seriously inquisitive students or sage well equipped with knowledge and detachment. Jnana Vairagya Yukta, equipped, realize Bhaktya Shruta Grihitaya, by rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard. Shruta Grihitaya. This will do 2 to line. अतः पुंभिर्द्विजश्रेष्ठा वर्णाश्रम विभागशः स्वनिष्ठितस्य धर्मस्य संसिद्धिर्हरितोषणम्
स्वनिष्ठितस्य धर्मस्य संसिद्धिर्हरितोषणम् अनुष्ठितस्य धर्मस्य संसिद्धिर्हरितौषधम् अनुष्ठितस्य धर्मस्य संसिद्धिर्हरितौषधम्
अतः पुंभिर्द्विजश्रेष्ठा वर्णाश्रमविभागशः स्वनिष्ठितस्य धर्मस्य संसिद्धिर्हरितोषणम्
अतः श्रेष्ठ
So this is very easy and important shlokas also. O best among the twice born, it is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging one's duties prescribed for one's own occupation according to the caste divination order of life is to please them. So varnashram vibhagashaha. Why? Only for haritoshanam. So whatever you are doing, your varna and ashrama vibhagashaha, based on varna and ashrama, if it is not haritoshanam, then it is shrama eva kevalam, like that. And we'll take this one verse for today. तस्मादेकेन मनसा भगवान् सात्वतां पति
तस्मादेकेन मनसा भगवान् सात्वतापति सात्वतापति तस्मादेकेन मनसा भगवान् सात्वतापति
श्रोतव्यः कीर्तितव्यश्च ध्येयः पूज्यश्च नित्यदा
श्रोतव्यकीर्तितव्यश्च देहया पूजयश्च नित्यदा श्रोतव्यकीर्तितव्यश्च देहया पूजयश्च नित्यदा
तस्मादेकेन मनसा भगवान् सात्वतां पति श्रोतव्यः कीर्तितव्यश्च ध्येयः पूज्यश्च नित्यदा
तस्मात् एकेन मनसा भगवान् सात्वतापति देहया पूजयश्च नित्यदा भगवान् देहया पूजयश्च नित्यदा
So here, therefore, with one pointed tasma, therefore, ekena manasa, one point attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, shrotavya, kirtitavyasya, dheya, and worship, pujasya, who? Bhagavan Sattvatampati, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is protector of his devotees, Nityata, constantly. So this is what this verse is telling. So we will we'll go to Prabhupada's purports and continue our discussion on it. So here some more points about the fourth chapter. I will try to explain. The two main themes of the fourth chapter is the glorification of narrator of the Bhagavatam and the listener of Bhagavatam. That means it's an indirect glorification of Bhagavatam itself. If you understand who is telling Bhagavatam, who is listening Bhagavatam, we'll understand what the Bhagavatam is. Because Bhagavatam can only happen between qualified narrator and qualified listener. It's not just transmission of knowledge, we discussed that, so it's also a revelation. And for revelation to happen, and for God and Lord appears in this conversation, both the listener and the speaker must be of very high quality. And the second theme of there are two themes of this the fourth chapter, and the second theme is how Vyasa Maharshi gained mercy. So the description of the state in which he received his mercy. So this is what, and this is what the fourth chapter basically is trying to. And of course, by knowing how Vyasa Maharshi received mercy, we also understand how we can receive mercy. And this is very important for us, because we all can say that we all need to that mercy. That's what actually this fourth chapter is trying to help us understand. Now, now the Bhagavatam is, it's a most amazing work of Vedic literature. We'll just discuss this one point again. This is again and again we have to reinforce our conviction that what we are doing is the best thing we are doing, because there are so many scriptures which are dealing with many recipes for happiness. Ayurveda, astrology, astronomy, and yoga, and then there is grammar and Sanskrit learning, and there are other recipes also within. We get so many recipes. Carrot juice, beetroot juice, tomato juice. Like that, we get so many other recipes. Sattvic food, fastings, and so many things people do get happiness. Now, and there are so many works in Vedic literature which gives us Bhoga Aishwarya Prasaktana, how you can have this Bhoga and Aishwarya. But the only book that describes the essence of all scriptures. Now, why? Because Bhagavatam describes pure bhakti. And bhakti, this is the only philosophy that describes the right to exist, right way of existence. Now, it is not that because we are Hare Krishnas, phonetically we make a point. Statement also that only bhakti is the only way. Because bhakti is a description of our relationship with God. If there is God, there is God, then the relationship with God who gave birth to me is very important for me. And he gave birth to this world and us and in this world so that we can somehow enter into this relationship. That is very important. So Bhagavatam is basically fourth chapter is important in one way because it is helping us develop all the psychophysical nature and various astrological techniques and all everything, but it will ultimately be pointless because the final meaning of our existence is laid in us by the creator of this world. And Bhagavatam perfect means what? Identity, one's nature in relation with God. Until a person understands his highest good and is satisfied in this relation. So here, this chapter basically tells the dissatisfaction of Vyasadeva. Now, in normally also, if we want to serve others, first thing we need to know if we want to really help others is to know what is my desire. When I can know what is my desire clearly, then only it is possible for me to serve others. You may say, Arey Prabhu, what? We already know our desires. Every day they come into list. I just need maybe one big apartment and one car and maybe one villa and so many such desires are anyway there. What is so much big deal to know our desires? Always I meditate on my desires only. No, here the desire means what? The highest welfare good, highest good. That type of desire. What makes me high? The real desire is for us to attain Krishna. So that desire we should know about ourselves. When I know that desire, then I will be able to serve others also very properly. Otherwise, it is not possible. So Bhagavatam is key to happiness, and higher happiness is active in accordance with its higher nature. Just by knowing that what is my highest good, we can be happy. No need to even achieve also. That is the point. That the person is happy that a person has understood his nature, his identity. That's all. So there is no difference between the statement that a person is happy and the statement that the person has understood his nature or his destiny. This is very important. Just by knowing only, that's why Rajavidya Rajaguhyam, Rajavidya Rajaguhyam, in the shlokana, Susukham Kartum Abhyayam. Knowing only you are very happy. Pavitram idamuttamam pratyaksha bhagavan dharmam susukam kartum abhyayam. Now, here Narada Muni tells to Vyasdev. So Bhagavatam is very most important one, and Hare Krishna. I'm sorry, some internet issues. We'll just read few purports. Maybe tomorrow I will elaborate more. So this is very nice shloka. What I will do, some points tomorrow also I will take some because some of them are dropped. शिवाय लोकस्य भवाय भूतये योत्तमश्लोकपरायणा जनं जीवन्ति नात्मार्थम् असौ पराश्रयम् प्रमोच निर्विद्य कुतः कलेवरम् devoted to the cause of the personality of Godhead live only for the welfare, development, and happiness of others. They do not live for any selfish interest. So, even though the Emperor Parikshit was free from all attachment to worldly possessions, how could he give up his material, mortal body, which was the shelter for others? So, the question is why Parikshit is committing suicide in one way? Why is giving up his body? Everything is so dear to him, especially body is dear to people. What reason is there for him to do such an act? But Maharaj Parikshit was an ideal king and householder because he was a devotee of the personality of Godhead. Devotee of the Lord automatically has all good qualifications, and the emperor was a typical example of this. Personally, he had no attachment for all the worldly opulences in his possessions. But since he was king for the all round welfare of his citizens, he was always busy in the welfare work of the public, not only for his life but also for the next. Not only for this life, for next. He would not allow slaughterhouses or killing of cows. He was not a foolish and partial administrator who would arrange for the protection of one living being and allow another to be killed. Because he was a devotee of the Lord, he knew perfectly well how to conduct his administration for everyone's happiness man, animals, plants, and other living entities. He was not selfishly interested. Selfishness is either self centered or self extended. He was neither. First point here is if somebody is killing animals, then there is no chance of self-realization only. Means he's he cannot grow in his consciousness if he's eating animals. That is the first thing. And second thing is of selfishness. If a person is selfish, then also he cannot grow spiritually. So Parikshit Maharaj is trying to protect his citizens from all these things. He was neither. His interest was to please the supreme truth, the personality of Godhead. The king is a representative of the supreme Lord, and therefore the king's interest must be identical with that of the supreme Lord. The supreme Lord wants all living beings to be obedient to him and thereby become happy. So here, why is the king representative of God? We should give him so much respect. Naradeva is almost like considered as God because the interests are matching. The king is also taking all the living entities towards Krishna. That is the reason. Interest is to guide all the subjects back to the kingdom of God. Hence, the activities of the citizens should be so coordinated that they can at the end go back home, back to God. Under the administration of a representative king, the kingdom is full of opulences. At that time, human beings need not eat animals. There are ample food, grains, milks, fruits, and vegetables, so that the human beings as well as animals can eat sumptuously and to their heart's content. If all living beings are satisfied with the food and shelter and obey the prescribed rules, there cannot be any disturbance between one living being and another. Emperor Parikshit was a worthy king, and therefore all were happy during his reign. This is what is explained. So, 3 points. First, Prabhupada is telling how Parikshit Maharaj, he is the shelter for all. So that point he was explaining how he is giving shelter to all living entities. First is he is helping them to be non-violent. Second is he is setting them free from selfishness, and then he is helping them understand the highest goal. So in that way he is giving shelter and ultimately giving shelter of Krishna. That is the point. And such person who is supporting and helping and so many, why should he give up his life? He's already doing good, right? Now if he is just doing sense gratification, better no, he not live only. But this person, he is helping so many living entities to go back to the Supreme Lord. Why he should give up his life? That is very curious. And that to engage. Of course, for that time it is 60 years, but 60 years in that time is very young only. Now, now also, okay, you can say old, but not so old also. But that time it is young only 60. तत्सर्वं न समाचक्ष्वा पृष्टो यत् इह कञ्चन मन्येत्वां विश्यैवाचं नादम् अन्यत्र चान्दसात्. We know that you are expert in meaning of all subjects except some portion of Vedas, and thus you can clearly explain the answers to all the questions we have put to you. So here some part of the Vedas is very important. There are Prabhupada is going to explain what all aspects are there in the Shastras, we'll see, and which one is important. The difference between the Vedas and the Puranas is like that between the Brahmanas and the Parivrajakacharyas. The Brahmanas are meant to administer some fruitive sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas, but the Parivrajakacharyas are learned preachers are meant to disseminate transcendental knowledge to one and all. Like now, Prabhupada knows perfectly all this. He's Parivrajakacharya. So Prabhupada knows his learned preacher meant to disseminate transcendental knowledge to one and all. And Prabhupada nicely gave. Now, he may have not be expert like the South Indian Brahmanas in Srirangam or Kanchipuram who are reciting Vedas and doing some sacrifices. Prabhupada may not be expert, but what he is expert at, which is the ultimate good also, he knows how to disseminate this transcendental knowledge and deliver the living entities. That Prabhupada can do. As such, the Parivrajakacharyas are not always expert in pronouncing Vedic mantras. You can see Prabhupada example, which are practiced systematically by assent and meter by the Brahmanas, who are meant to for administrating Vedic rituals. Yet, it should not be considered the Brahmanas are more important than the itinerant preachers. They are one and different simultaneously because they are meant for the same end in different ways. So we need to give respect to Parivrajakacharyas and Vaishnava and the Brahmanas properly. Of course, we should know for us Parivrajakacharyas are much more valuable and important. There is no difference between the Vedic mantra and what is explained in the Puranas and Itihasas. So some are mantras, some are these are Shrutis, and there are Smritis which are in the form of Puranas. So the essence of the Shrutis are given in the form of Puranas. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, it is mentioned in the Madhyandini Shruti that all the Vedas, namely Sama, Atharvaveda, Rig, Yajur, Puranas, Itihasas, Upanishad, etc., are emanations from the breathing of the Supreme Being. The only difference are that the Vedic mantras mostly begin with Prana Omkara and that it requires some training to pronounce the metrical accent, without which the mantras cannot be successfully chanted. Although Srila Sutta Goswami was a preacher of the first order, he did not bother much about metrical pronunciation of the Vedic mantras. But that does not mean that Srimad Bhagavatam is of less importance than the Vedic mantras. On the contrary, see, on the contrary, it is the ripened fruit of all Vedas as stated. That means there are so many proper metrical accent and pronunciation for chanting Vedic mantras. But if you don't know also, that's not a problem. And it is safe also not to know. If we know some things in Kali Yuga, the first thing what happens is we get pride. So instead of knowing material things, better learn Bhagavatam. And Bhagavatam will protect us from becoming proud. Of course, here also people become proud and all. But it is less chances. We have more support. Bhagavatam, because many stories are there which will help us to get rid of our anarthas also. Besides that, the most perfectly liberated soul, Srila Sudai Goswami, is absorbed in the studies of Bhagavatam. Although he is already self-realized, Srila Sudai Goswami is following in his footsteps, and therefore his position is not the least less important, because he was not expert in chanting mantras and metric pronunciations, which depend more on practice than actual realization. This I can confidently. They just pronounce, they don't know any meaning of it, they don't have any feeling for it, they are only interested in money. So, like proper realization is more important than parrot like chatting. They just chant mantra, hours and hours they chant without knowing the meaning. And their motivations are not always correct. That is another problem. So here the section ends, and this section till 13, the glorification of speaker, the glorification of hearer, and of course they ask the questions also in such a way, and then they ask the question, when did Bhagavatam appear, and when it was recited, and all this, in what circumstances. So we have the questions that is asked. They glorified both hearer and speaker. That means they know about hearer and speaker, and now they glorified him. And now the next section starts. So today I like to end you early. So today we'll end here. Tomorrow we'll continue. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.